I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like there was Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like there was Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it's Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it's Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, out, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it's Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in Tokyo that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it's Rico, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in tech camp that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it was breakout, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
I liked in tech camp that there was like these different sessions that you could have. Like, although it was breakout, they were all so cool.
They were excited. They didn't know they were really learning. Oh my gosh, I was playing at the same time I was learning.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Digital Learning Lab. We're here today to talk to you about or take you over creating Google Slides. And so we're going to bring our presenters in right now. And before we begin, we would just like to go over a few housekeeping tips and things. And so we welcome you today to join us to chat in with the presenters. If you're logged in with your parents' email account to Google, that is fine. We just ask that you use some etiquette and you can ask questions to the presenters during the session. While in the session, you will want to only ask questions and not go into sidebar conversations. You can also say, great job, that's great, good, awesome, very amazing, right? You could do that, but please keep your conversations down to a minimum. This platform is not for you to have your sidebar conversations. As we go throughout the session, you can also rewind the session. You can pause the sessions and then try it out on your own. Another thing that you could do, you can give us some smiling emojis, thumbs up, and way to go. Today we will be taking you through Google Slides. We have Shannon, Danielle, and Demay who will be joining us this morning throughout this presentation. Ladies, if you're ready, you can now take it away.
All right, good morning.
Hey, good morning. All right, well, we are so excited that you are here with us again. Hopefully you are joining us again from last week. This week, we're going to be talking about Google Slides. Google Slides are probably one of my favorite Google tools because there's so many things that you can do with Google Slides. It's a little music for you this morning. But we're really excited that you're here to make sure that we're seeing everybody on our YouTube channel and making sure that you are ready to go. So today we are going to be designing amazing presentations with Google Slides. And with us today, you have three of the CFISD EdTech team. We have Miss Johnson.
Good morning.
We have Miss Gilpatrick.
Happy Thursday.
And I'm Miss Haynes, and we are so excited to have you here with us today. Let's get started.
All right. So Mr. Stone had talked about a few tips for our digital learning lab. So we're going to take just a minute to go over those and show you how you can follow these tips. So the first one is pausing, rewind, and rewatch. And this is a great tip to use anytime you're doing online learning or you're watching video. I'm sure you've done that before when you're watching something on YouTube or you're watching a tasty video or something like that, and you pause, you rewind it, you watch it again, you let it loop, those types of things. So we're going to show you how to do that. Also interacting with chat and how to appropriately be doing that. We're going to look at the chat here in just a moment. And then side-by-side interaction. So whenever you're learning, you're watching that video, you can put that side by side with doing as well. So we're going to set that up, show you how to set up your, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, how you can set up your computer to be able to try some of the things that we're showing you while we're showing them to you. And then the last thing is using our question form. If you're not able to ask questions in the chat, that's okay, because we have a question form that you can use as well. So I'm going to exit our presentation here for just a moment to show you those things in the YouTube live. So you can see over here we have our chat, and so we can say good morning to Catherine and to Kenneth and to Jeslyn, and let's see who else is here. We've got some students from Feast Elementary. Good morning, and some Kirk. Mrs. Blowy's here from Kirk. Let's see. So we've got lots of people here joining us. We're so happy that you're here. And please remember to keep those comments in the chat positive or asking questions on topic. So as you're watching the live presentation, right now you'll notice that mine is paused, but anytime that I want to play, I just press play, and you'll see that I'm actually behind where we currently are because I paused it earlier because I was experiencing a lag. So that's another good tip too that you can use. If it seems like it's lagging or cutting out, pause it for a little bit and then press play and it will catch up. So I can move this, I can go back and watch something again, pause it, try things out on my own, press play whenever I'm ready to catch up. So it's okay if you're not right with us every second. You can always move fast forward, rewind, and catch up. And then the other thing, we talked about chat, and then also the side-by-side. So as we're working today, we're going to be using Google Slides. And so one way that you can have those set up in side-by-side is by, you've got your YouTube tab open. If you click and drag that out, it will separate it from any other tabs that you have open. And you can just minimize that. Then I have my Google Slides here. I can drag that over, minimize that. And then I can size these out, click and drag those corners, and I can have them side by side so that it's easy for me to click back and forth, or I could just keep them the way that I had it in the beginning, which was within those tabs separately, and I can just click between the tabs. So those are a couple of your options for side by side. Sorry, I went to the wrong thing here. Let me go back to this one. And then the last thing is the question form. So if you're not in the chat, which is totally fine, you can actually come down here to this link. And if you click this link, then you can submit a question to us through our Google form. So we'll be monitoring that as well so that we can make sure to address all of your questions. All right, and we are going to start talking to you about Google Slides. Ms. Johnson's going to share some of her experience with slides that she's created and slides that she's seen in the past.
Okay, good morning. Okay, we've all done presentations before in some fashion or whatever, and even in school or even outside of school. So when we're thinking about a presentation, we're thinking about a lot of things. So I have 2 slides that I would like you to look at to kind of help me out and tell me what you think about these 2 slides. So this is a great time to get into the chat and give us your opinion. We really want you to let us know what you feel about these 2 slides. The first slide is slide A, and it's on succulents. I really, really love succulents. It's one of the plants because I could keep them alive. So let's look at slide A, kind of look at it, give your thoughts, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just be honest how you feel about it. So I'm doing, and I have this slide up. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And you want to see the next? I don't know. There's a lot of words on there. It's kind of hard for me to read them all quickly.
Okay. All right. That was feedback. I appreciate that. You want to take a look at slide B?
Ooh.
Ooh, wow.
I like the colors.
Wow. What comes to your mind? What are y'all putting in the chat? Okay, I just kind of glanced over, but now that you've seen slide A, now you're looking at slide B. Does one of them speak to you? Does one of them say, ooh,
They're saying there's a lot of words on slide A.
Okay.
I think slide B
Yes.
just looks fun. Like I'm really excited. I want to learn how to do some of that. Like putting that shape in a heart. I wonder how she did that. That looks awesome.
I know. I think that's really cool.
Okay. Well, I'm looking, and I know that y'all are looking at the chat too, but here's kind of like the difference of, kind of looking at what a presentation may look like to your audience. So you really have to take into account some of the things that we're going to share today. And remember, we're going to show you some basic things, and then you're going to go back and zazz it up. So hopefully, just by comparing A and B, you can say, which one will I be interested in, and go, ooh, I want to learn more. So hopefully y'all picked B, but if you're an A person, that's okay, because we have A and B personalities too. So let's think about that. So we want to go ahead and jump in because we're really excited to share with you some of our tips and tricks.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So whenever we got together and we started talking about this presentation, and I'm sure Ms. Johnson, whenever you had to do yours, one of the things that you really had to make sure to do was plan ahead. You can see here when you look at, this little image that the person that planned this did not plan ahead. They spaced those letters out too much and then they ran out of room. one good thing about Google Slides is that you can correct that if you start to make that mistake, but it is still really a good thing to plan ahead. And one of the things that we did is jotting down all of our ideas. So we used a planning document. And we went through and said, okay, in part 1, we're going to talk about this. In part 2, these are some images that we might want to use. In part 3, this is the text that we're going to use. So we planned out what our slides were going to look like. And then today we're going to be creating those slides with you so that you can see that process.
Yeah, planning is super important because you can kind of think about what you want to put on your slide and then find images to make sure that it all matches. So I think that's super important part of planning your presentation.
Yeah. And especially when you're collaborating with other people, like the 3 of us were working together. And so we all had to share what our thoughts were so that things would go together well, right?
Looking at that picture, I think of how sad I would be if I got to the very end and I realized it wasn't gonna fit. I can't imagine the panic that set in when that happened.
Yes, all that work and then, yep.
Okay.
Oh, did you have something? Sorry, Ms. Johnson, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think that was really a good idea to definitely have a plan in place, whether you jot it down on a Post-it or if you put it on a piece of paper, if you even use graphic organizer. Sometimes I kind of use like images. Some people are doodlers and they want to doodle out what their presentation may look like. So those are just some ideas. We all think differently. So think about how you would design your presentation slides and what it's going to look like.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see a lot of our comments in the chat are saying that they like slide B. So that's great because that's the one that we're focusing on today. And we're going to start by sliding into the design of your slides. So we're going to talk about background, using interesting images or shapes and things like that to kind of make your slides stand out and speak to your personality, but also to your topic. And then
we're going to slide on into some text features, and we're going to talk about using word art and choosing appropriate font styles and font size, because all of that matters. And lastly,
we're gonna talk about images and videos because we want to make sure our presentation is visually pleasing. So just adding a few pictures could really make it pop. So we're going to inserting, probably cropping, probably masking, and maybe throwing a little video, but we just want to be mindful of the balance that we have on our slideshow. So I'm excited.
That looks
yes,
fun.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. We're going to get started in Google Slides. So one of the ways that you can easily start a slide presentation is by opening a new tab and going to typing in slides.new. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to do the same thing so that you can follow along if you're able to. This would be the time that you would want to set up that side by side that I talked about earlier. So all I'm going to do is exit my presentation here and open a new tab just by clicking on my plus sign. Or if you're using a different internet browser, you should be able to click a plus, but also just open a new tab. So I'm going to open this new tab and I'm going to type in here slides.new. So when I do that, it automatically brings up a new blank, fresh presentation to get started with. Okay, so untitled presentation is what it tells me at the very beginning. It is letting me decide what I want to call it. So that is the first step you always want to make sure to do, and you're going to see why here in just a minute. So I'm going to start by renaming this presentation. And we were talking about what we wanted our presentation to be about, and we all agreed that we like dogs. So we decided, right, ladies?
Right.
I like cats too, but I'm just allergic to them. I love them, but my face gets swollen.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I love them.
But we all like dogs, so we decided that we were going to do just a quick little presentation about dogs. So, and you may have seen that when you saw our planning document, why I want a dog. So why we think that dogs are good pets to have. And so that's what our focus is going to be. So we're just going to title this something simple. I'm just going to call it dogs. And what I want you to notice is right here, it's blank, but something's going to happen here in just a moment after I name it. You'll see I have some options now. It's given me a star, so I can favorite this presentation, or a folder where I can move it into a specific folder in my Google Drive. And the reason why I have that folder is now everything that I do, every change that we make, we do not have to worry about saving it.
That's so nice.
That's great.
Yes, it's so nice. All the changes are going to save in my Google Drive. So from this point, I do not have to go to make sure that I've saved it before I exit out, which, oh my goodness, that saved me so many times. It's one of the reasons why I love Google, because it saves my work and I don't have to remember to make sure to click something so that it saves. So all these changes that we make are automatically saved for us within seconds of us doing it. So I'm actually going to move this presentation into a folder so that both Ms. Johnson and Ms. Hames can access it, because we're going to be working on it together. You don't need to really worry about these steps that I'm doing right here. Just know that you can do this yourself. This is not something you need to do right now. I'm just doing this because we're collaborating on this today for this presentation. So I'm just putting this in a folder for us to be able to access it easily together. And you can just kind of see how to do that if it was something that you wanted to do to organize. Ms. Johnson, you can share about our upcoming training too that we have about Google Drive if you want while I'm doing this.
About the Google Drive and learning everything you need to know about Google Drive. Yes, we're excited about that. You know, the following Thursday, we're going to be doing infographics, and we're going to kind of give you guys kind of like a hodgepodge of some things that you can actually use and incorporate it using the Google Suite, using docs and slides and all the cool stuff. So as Ms. Kilpatrick is putting it in, we're going to talk about that and how the cloud storage, like we could get it anywhere. That's what's really nice about having some of these tools to use, since we're, you know, not available at certain places, but we can access it from anywhere. So that's what I really, really like about cloud storage.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to get started with designing the background. And I wondered if anybody noticed, you maybe didn't because our pictures were covering it over here, but when I move our pictures out of the way, I'm going to slide them over here for now, you can see that it automatically brought up themes. And this is giving me some themes that Google Slides has automatically in here. And so when you look through here, there are a lot of different choices. It has colors and it has text boxes and designs already completed for you. But just because you maybe don't like the colors, don't let that stop you from choosing one of the themes, because I'm going to show you how you can edit those colors to choose something that is maybe more of your favorite. So I'm going to go through here and choose this one called Modern Writer. And I really like the design of this, but I would like to use a different color. So the way that I do that is by going up to Slide and Edit Master. So again, I'm going to zoom in on that so you guys can see. So I go up here to Slide, and then I'm going to select Edit Master. So once I've done that, it's giving me my master slides, and this first one is my title slide. So the way to change this color, I like the design, but I want to use a different color. I'm just going to click this box. You can see it's selected because it's blue all the way around it. Come up to this bucket. Oh, excuse me. And I'm going to choose a different fill color. So when I click this bucket, I have all of the colors available, but then I also have some colors that Google has recommended work well with this theme that just complement each other well. So I'm going to go with this aqua color here. And you'll notice that I also have this little triangle I need to fix too if I want to. I could keep it the same way, but I'm going to change that as well. So in order to change that little triangle, I just click that. So now the triangle's selected. Come back up to my bucket and select the color I want the triangle to be. So now I have this title slide is changed. It's still the same design, but it just has a different color. So I'm going to exit out of my master slide set. And I have my title slide the way that I want it. So to add an additional slide, I'm going to come up here to slide, select new slide, and Google automatically has decided that I'm probably going to want to put text with maybe a subtitle on my next slide, which would typically probably be fine. However, I want to make this a little bit more customized. Okay, so I saw in the chat that someone said, I want to know how to do like custom backgrounds, my own design, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to come up to layout and choose a different layout. Miss Hames, I know that you're going to be working on text. So which one of these do you think would work best for your plan for the text and the images?
I'm thinking I would like to have text on one side and then leave space for Miss Johnson to put her picture on the other side. So maybe one with one column of text.
So maybe this one right here, the one column text.
Yep, that looks great.
Perfect. So all I did was select layout, and then I can choose any of these different layouts that they have already planned for me. But just because it's there doesn't mean I can't make changes to it. So I'm going to select that one, but then we're going to make this a little bit more unique and adding some different shapes and some colors to kind of take it away from just this plain white background. So one thing that you could do, which I'm going to choose to keep it white, but I do want to show you that you could go to background and you could select a color. So I could make my entire background one different color, like I just changed it to purple, okay? I could also choose a gradient background if I want it to kind of be fading between like a lighter purple and a darker purple. Or I could go really unique and go to customizing, and then this one is a lot of fun. People really like this one, but then I could choose something like this where it's fading from pink to purple, or I can add some different colors in here too. Remember, you can pause and rewind and rewatch. So I'm doing this quickly, but always remember that you can pause, rewind, and rewatch these things so that you can see how to make your background custom. I can also change it from being radial, which is in a circle, to being linear if I want it to be like lines going across. Okay, so that's what that looks like, which is really pretty. But I decided that for this presentation, we're going to keep it white for our background. And I'm going to say done. Then we're going to add some shapes down at the bottom. I want to pause just a moment and make sure that we don't have any questions coming in.
No,
They all been pretty positive.
They're waiting to see how to change the color of the text. So we'll get there next.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That will be coming up next. Okay,
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for answering that. I see that.
Yes.
All
Hopefully
right.
y'all are able to be trying this while we're doing it. We're going to kind of take a breath and think about it. I know somebody even asked about they couldn't see their theme. So can you do that again, Ms. Kilpatrick? Because they weren't able to see their theme.
Yes, perfect. So it automatically comes up, but if it doesn't for some reason, and you're here in your slide, then you should have an option to change theme right here. So I could click theme, and then it would come up over on the side, so I can select it there, or I can come up here to slide and come down to the bottom and select change theme. So then I have those options over on the right-hand side. And I can change theme at any point. So even if I've already started and I decide, nope, never mind, I don't like this theme, I can change it. Okay.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. So because sometimes you start doing things and you decide that you want to do something different, which is completely, I know I do that sometimes too. So we're going to add some shapes to this to kind of give some differentiation to the way that our white background looks. So to insert a shape, I can do this two ways. I can either come up here I like how they have all these shortcuts on the toolbar here. I can just click shape and I'm going to have some options to select some shapes, or I can go to insert and select shape here. Okay. Now, one thing to point out is you always want to make sure that whenever you go to shape and then you're going over, you need to stay in that line. One thing I notice sometimes is if we accidentally don't stay, then, oh, now we're on table. So you want to make sure that you stay. You don't have to click anything. You just hover over it. And then when you're ready to click, when you're ready to select one of those shapes. So I selected a triangle, or excuse me, a rectangle. Not a triangle, rectangle. I've been out of school too long. I forgot what a triangle and a rectangle was. Okay, so now that I've selected rectangle, I'm just going to click and drag and I can make my rectangle. So now I have this rectangle and I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. And I want it to go all the way across. So I'm just going to click and drag those edges where you see those two little arrows pop up. And then I can make it the exact size that I want. Okay, I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to change the color. So remember to change my color. I come up here to my bucket. And I'm going to change this to a dark blue. And then I want to make a second rectangle as well. So I'm going to select this one because I want it to be the same size as this one. And I'm going to go up to Edit. And I'm going to select Duplicate. And now I have a second rectangle. And I'm going to put it right next to my first rectangle, but I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to put it, I'm going to actually maybe even overlap it just a tad so that I don't have to worry about any white space and being in between. So then I'm going to come up here and select my other color. And there we go. So I've got these two. Notice that they're going off the edge a little bit. Ladies, did you notice that?
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why I did that is because I want to make sure that I don't have any white space hanging off whenever I go into presentation mode. So it's okay if it goes off the edge just a little bit. In fact, it ends up looking a little bit nicer because then you don't have, it doesn't look like it cuts off whenever you go into, if I go into presentation, you'll see that it just looks like it's just part of that slide, not that like I added it later. And so then I also noticed that it gave me an outline on both of these in a gray, kind of a dark gray color, and I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to select both of these. The way to do that is I'm going to click one, hold down my shift key. So click one, hold down my shift key, click the other one. Now I have both of my rectangles selected. And I'm going to come up here to my border color. Select border color, and I'm going to choose transparent because I don't want to have a border color on there at all. Okay, so I like the way that's looking. I want to add one more little thing that I just had an idea of in the corner. So it's something that I'm going to build using shapes, and I'm going to do it pretty quickly. But again, it's just another way that you can use shapes throughout your presentation and on your slides. So what I'm going to do is build a little doghouse. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be appropriate for our topic.
Right. So I'm going to choose a rectangle. I'm going to build just a little rectangle, and I'm going to make it red. And then I'm going to add a triangle on top, excuse me. See how I went off of it on accident? So I'm going to come here, rectangle, or put my triangle on top. And then I need to have a little door as well. Oh, messed that up a little bit. Anytime you mess up, you can always come up here to your undo, which is nice. I like the undo button. I use it a lot. All right, then I'm going to add a little doorway, I think. Let's see, where's my little door one? This one. Because my dog has to be able to get in and out of the house. Ah.
leaf on it like Snoopy on top of the house.
It does look like Snoopy's house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. Okay, I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Sorry, it's like, okay. So I'm going to change that color to this dark blue, I think. And now I've got my little doghouse, and I want it to be part of my bottom border that we created. But when I start to move this, I don't want to have to move all three of those and try to get them all lined up again. So here's a trick. Right now I'm on my select tool, which is just the arrow. So I'm going to click right outside of where my doghouse is. I'm going to click and drag over it. And what you're going to notice is that everything got selected. So the triangle, the square, and the little door that I created. The other little, it's not a quadrilateral because it's not straight edges, but you know what it basically is. So now that I've selected all of those, I'm going to group them together, because if I group them together, then I can move them all at the same time. So the way to do that is to come up here to arrange, excuse me. And I'm going to scroll down here to group. You can also use a shortcut, Control-Alt-G, but you're going to group them. So now this is grouped. So when I start to move it, it all moves together. So I don't have to move each of those pieces individually.
Yeah,
that
that's
saves
awesome.
so much time.
Woo-hoo.
I also noticed that it's a little bit bigger than I wanted now that I put it down there. So I'm going to just click the corner, and look, the whole thing changes size. I don't have to change each of those individually. So there we go. There's our little doghouse for our background. What do you think?
Awesome. I love
Looks
it.
great.
Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you about, once you've created a slide that has a design that you like, and again, this is just the way we did it. You guys can keep doing yours in any way that you want. But once you create yours, then all you have to do is duplicate that one. So now that I have this slide here, I can come up to Slide, Duplicate Slide. So now I have a second one, and I can keep duplicating off of that one if I want to make it easier so I don't have to create that every time. Okay, there's just a few little tips on how you can create your backgrounds. And now we're going to move on to text with Ms. Ames. She's going to share her screen, so it's going to take just a minute. So while she's doing that, we'll just check the chat and check our question form.
If you could stop sharing, then I'll share.
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. All right.
How are y'all doing out there? It looks like some of y'all are really asking some good questions. I know that there are a couple of questions about backgrounds. It looks like when Miss Kilpatrick was talking that y'all were asking about, well, there were some design things like, do they have to go all the way across? No, this is kind of your personal design. She was just giving you some really quick tips on how to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that we are up and sharing.
Wonderful.
Ladies,
there was another question about the lag on the mouse. Again, there is going to be a little bit of that lag, but if you pause and watch, and again, like in back time, I guess you would say, instead of live, then you'll notice that that's a little bit, that lag is going to be a little bit better for you. So feel free to pause at any point and then catch up.
All right. So let's get started adding some text. So Ms. Kilpatrick made us a beautiful design for our background. And now we're just going to make sure that we are adding in some text. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the title. Okay, this was already set up for me, and you can see that I have a blinking cursor. Whenever you see the blinking cursor, that means that it is ready for you to type. So I'm just going to type in here, I love dogs. Okay, nice and simple. Now down here at the bottom, I can put our name. So if I just said by the EdTech team, make sure you're spelling it correctly. There you go. All right, so that looks okay to me. I like it, but I want to show you one of my very favorite tricks. And when I showed this to my daughter the other day, she was blown away, and she's in 3rd grade. So I want to show it to you as well. So this looks great, okay? But I want to do something that's going to really make it stand out. So I'm going to come up here to the top where I see insert, okay? And if I go to insert, I'm going to scroll down until I see something that says word art. When I click on word art, that is going to give me a box again up here at the top. Notice my blinking cursor, and I can type in there just my letter I, and I'm going to hit enter. And when I do that, it's going to bring up an image on my screen. Now, even though it's a word, it's coming in as an image. I know that because I can see this blue box around here. Okay, it comes in as this gray color because that's what was defaulted, but I can come up here to the top where you see a bucket right up here at the top, and I can hit that down arrow next to it, and then I have all of these different choices of colors that I can use. So I'm going to choose this really dark blue color because I think that's going to look really good with that teal background. Ladies, what do you think? Do you think that looks okay?
I like it.
I like it too.
Awesome. Okay. So now that I have that there, it's in Arial font, and Arial font is great, but sometimes can be just a little bit boring. So I want to make it a little bit more fun. So I'm going to come back up here to the top where all of these goodies are in this menu bar, and I'm going to choose where it says font. Okay, and notice it says Arial, but next to it, it has an arrow. Whenever you see an arrow, that means that good things are hiding behind there somewhere. So I'm going to hit that down arrow, and now look at all of these different fonts that I can choose. Notice at the top, these are some of my favorite fonts. These are fonts that I use all the time. So they show up at the top above that line. Below that are all the other fonts that I have added to my fonts, the ones that I use, you know, over and over again. These are my favorites though up at the top, but I'm just going to choose one of these to change it to. So in this case, I'm going to choose it to Chewy, okay, because Chewy is kind of a fun font, and I think it's appropriate because we're talking about dogs. And if any of you have ever had a dog before, you know that they like to chew things. So I think that's kind of funny. So I'm going to leave this I here. It's ready to go, and it's up here at the top. Okay, notice that I still have this little blue box around it with all of these little tiny squares. If I wanted to make this smaller, because it looks like it's going to take up a lot of room and I still need to fit love and dogs in there. So what I could do is I could resize this. Notice when I get down here in the corner, I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see it. But notice what's happening there. I have an arrow that has two arrows kind of sticking out on either side. When I get to that corner, that allows me to know that this is ready for you to resize. So I could just click and drag and resize it. But what happens when I do that sometimes is it gets kind of crazy. It'll get either like really, really skinny, or it'll get a little bit wider, or it'll get a little bit taller or a little bit shorter. So a trick to kind of keep that from happening is to hold down your shift button on your keyboard as you are clicking and dragging. And what that's doing is that's keeping all the constraints exactly the same so that it does not get all crazy. So let me show you what that looks like without the magnifying. See how it's all staying together? That's making it nice and easy for me to resize my image, which is really word art, at the same time. Okay, so that's a trick. Hold down shift and drag it in at the same time.
I love word art.
It's my favorite. So now I'm going to do some more. So now, because I know that I love that Chewy font and I want to use it again, I'm going to just make sure that I'm clicked on it. And again, I know because I have that blue box. And I'm going to do something called a shortcut because I know that I want to make sure that I'm not taking up too much of your time. So I'm going to use Control plus D at the same time. So just hold down the control button and then hit the letter D. And what it does is it gives you another little image, a word art that looks exactly like the last one. So if I double click on that, it brings up that same exact box that I had before. And I can just type in here the word love. and then hit enter. Okay, so look at how much easier that was. I didn't have to go and change my font. I didn't have to resize it. Everything is just perfect. So the only thing that I think I want to change here, because whenever I think of love, I think of red or pink or like a fun color like that. So I'm going to change this into a red color. So to do that, I'm going to come back up here to that little box that we've had the whole time up at the top. And I'm going to click on the bucket. Okay, right now the bucket is showing me that I have that navy blue color, that really dark blue, and I want red. So I'm just going to click on the bucket and I'm going to choose red. And when I do that, now you can see the love is now in a different color. So if I click in the center, I can move that around wherever I want it. And I can make it larger if I want, again, by clicking and dragging and holding down my shift to make it larger. Doesn't that look so much better than just the I love dogs down there at the bottom?
Yes, it really pops. Even the red pops. I love the word love in red.
Perfect. And I need one more word. So I'm going to come back to my eye and I'm going to do this kind of quickly. I'm going to Control D again. I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to double click to make sure that I can get that blinking cursor to change my text, and I'm going to write in the word dogs. Okay, so now it's ready, but something's wrong. It says I love dogs twice. I definitely don't want that. So I'm going to click on where it says I love dogs. Notice my blinking cursor is back there, and I don't want that there. I could just delete this out, but if I just delete this out, watch what happens. It looks like it's gone, but I have this thing that says click to add title. And that makes it hard for me to really see what the design looks like. So I'm going to just click on it to get that blue kind of box around it. And I'm just going to click my backspace button to totally get rid of it. So now I can see exactly what I want it to look like. So I'm just going to leave it kind of just like this. I could move it around. I can overlap it. But I'm going to leave some space over here because I have a feeling that Miss Johnson's going to come in and she's really going to jazz this up with something super cool once she does her image part. Okay, so now I feel pretty good about my word art up at the top, but down here at the bottom, it says by the EdTech team, and it's defaulted to the Oswald font because that's the theme that Miss Gilpatrick chose. So if I didn't like that font, what I could do is I could change that font into something different. So I'm going to highlight everything that I want to do. And to highlight something, you just click and drag over top of it. And then I'm going to come back up here to where my font is. And remember, it's on Oswald, but I don't want that. I'm going to hit that down arrow. And for now, I'm just going to choose one of my favorite ones that I use a lot. So I'm just going to choose custard because I know I like that one. Okay, so now it is set. It looks a whole lot better. So I'm ready to go on to my next slide. So I'm going to click on slide number 2. And again, I have this nice little space here where I can click inside, my blinking cursor starts, and I'm ready to start typing. To save myself some time, I'm going to go up first and change that font before I even get started. So I'm going to go up to the top again, and I'm going to click that down arrow. But this time, I'm going to try to go in, and I like all of these fonts. There's so many great choices. But one of the awesome things about Google is that there is something called more fonts. Ladies, did you know about the more fonts in Google?
I just recently learned about that. It's really cool.
So when you click on more fonts, it's up at the very top. Inside of here, look at all of these different fonts. So I could go on, I'm going to take off my magnifier so you can really see what I'm talking about. But you can see that there are all of these fonts here, and they're broken down. If you wanted to choose just certain types of scripts, certain types of fonts, let's say I wanted to make sure it was a good font that was going to look good in display, I could hit the down arrow and choose display. So look at all of these different choices that I have. If there's one that I really like, let's say that I really like this Special Elite. When I click on it, it's going to turn blue and it's going to add it over here to my font so that it's easy for me to use another time. So I absolutely love that. So definitely take a look at the add fonts when you get to that point. So I'm going to say okay to get back to my thing. notice that up here at the top, it actually made Special Elite my font choice because I just added that. So that is awesome that it did that for me. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm ready to type my font in there. It's a size 24. Okay, size 24 is a decent size for a title, but I want it to really, really stand out. So I'm going to make that font just a little bit bigger by coming up to the top right next to where I chose the style, and I'm going to choose the font size by clicking the down arrow and choosing something that's just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to choose size 36. Okay, when I choose 36, I'm going to type in here, dogs make people, something bad's happening. Dogs make people happy. Oh man, look at how terrible that looks. It's falling off the screen. I can't see it very well. So what
it's
I can
kind of
do,
like that plan ahead thing that we had earlier.
That's exactly right. But like you said, Ms. Gilpatrick, in Google Slides, I can fix that because it's like magic. So because I still have this blue box, I have this little tiny boxes around there. If I click in the middle, I have those two arrows pointing in opposite directions, and I can click and I can drag that out. So I'm going to click and drag it out until I think it looks good. Okay, I'm really struggling here because it's just way too big. So what I can do is I can say, you know what, 36 was too big. I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to come back up here. I could hit the drop down and I could change it back to something else that's here, but look at this jump. It goes from 36 to 30. What if I wanted it to be 33? I want to try that. So all I need to do is right here where it says that, if I click in there, I can say 33 and hit enter and say, that still doesn't work. I better just go down to 30. Oh, finally, it works. Okay, so now I have my title. I think that looks great. So that is Special Elite and it's size 30. So now I want to make that a different color because right now it's just plain old black and I want to make it look really pretty. I'm going to go up to the top again where I've been numerous times, and I'm going to click on where it has an A with a line under it. If I hover over that, it tells me that that is my text color. So if I hit that again, if I click on that, I'm going to look for that same blue color that I had before. So I'm going to choose that navy blue. And there we go. All right. So now I've done that. The last thing I need to do is I'm going to type in here, reduce stress and unconditional love. Okay. Again, I think that's kind of small, so I'm going to highlight it. I'll come back up here. I'm going to choose a different font that I know I like, and I'm going to change the size. And I'm doing this a little bit quickly because I want to make sure I give Ms. Johnson time to show you the other stuff. Okay, so now I have something. I don't really like that it's bigger, so I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. There you go. So now it's ready to go. So now it's ready for Ms. Johnson to come in and really jazz this up. Remember, if you want to change your color, you come up to the top and you can change your text color right up here. So if I wanted to make it the same color as our background, I could change that there. What do you think, Ms. Johnson? Are you ready to jazz it up?
I'm ready. This looks really great, guys. I love the background and I love the fonts. So let's do this. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And now you can see that we have the title page. It looks really nice. And then we have another slide. Remember, we're building a presentation, but we're doing it really quick. So we were basically showing you backgrounds and some fonts. And now I'm going to show you quickly some images. Okay, so this isn't a full-blown presentation. It's just really to get you started because y'all are the creative juices out there. So that's where we're going to be able to see all of your presentation later. So on the title slide, I really like what Ms. Hames had done, but I'm going to go up to the top where it says insert. And one thing before we start the image, you have to know where you stored your images. So we were doing it all on dogs, and we talked about where are these pictures going to live? Well, we harvested some pictures from Google, and we actually put it in what Ms. Kilpatrick was talking about, our drive. So then I could get to these pictures easily. So when you're thinking about planning, think about where your pictures are going to be coming from. So you could get it from the internet. You can get them from, of course, your personal pictures of your pets, and then you can house them on your desktop, or you can put it in a cloud-based storage. So think about that first. Where are you going to be able to insert these pictures from? So those are the steps that I'm going to kind of share with you. And also you could get it from a flash drive. They do still exist, y'all. So up at the top of the menu bar, I'm going to show you real quickly how to insert. And right underneath it, it says images. Once I click images, those are my options. I could upload it from the computer. I can search from the web. I could get it from the drive that we talked about. And there's also some other options. I like the camera options, but I don't have a pet right now. But I actually could take a picture of my pet live if I have an integrated camera or some camera of some sort. So if I go to upload from computer, you can see I already have selected some pets. So if I were to click one of these, oh, that dog is so precious, isn't it? And you see how it jumped onto the slide? It looks really great. And it's selected because it has the handles. And as Ms. Haim was talking about, she said, if you go in from the sides, it's going to distort the picture. So if I go like that, it's going to make my puppy not look so cute. So I'm going to undo that. And if I just want to resize it, I'm going to get up to the corner so I have the double arrows, and then I'm going to just drag it in. He's so cute, isn't he?
He is so cute.
So cute. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. So since I am selected, I'm going to go ahead. I like this rectangle, but maybe I want to put him into a shape. So now that I have him selected, I'm going to go back up to the menu bar, and right next to the crop image, I'm going to click that down arrow, and that's called mask image. And then you have a choice of choosing any of these shapes so that my little puppy could be inside of. But I'm going to just go ahead and choose the hearts because we're loving these dogs, right? Look how cute. Did you see how fast that happened? I was able to create a shape just right away. So if you also look, I still have the handles because maybe I want to change the outline of this shape. So I'm going to go back up to where the little pencil is. And first, maybe I'll just change the shape, the color of the border here. So I'm going to click on the pencil, and we're kind of staying with the theme. That's why we were talking about that a lot, because you don't want to have a bunch of things that are different colors. So now it looks like I have a red border, but I really can't see it. So I'm going to go right next to the pencil, and I'm going to add some thickness to the border. So I'm going to go about 4. Now, do you see the red?
Yes, I love that.
And then I'm also going to, since I'm still up at the menu bar, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go to the border, and I can even change the way the line looks. I can make it look polka dot, and that gives it a little flair. So you guys play with some of these tools that, for your pictures. So it doesn't have to be just a boring rectangle picture. You can actually add shape. And I really love what Ms. Hames had written here, love. But did you know that you can actually insert a shape? So if I go back up to the top of the menu bar and I go insert, and I go to shape, and I go back to my shapes, I'm going to select the heart here. And then I get the crosshairs, the little cross, and I'm going to click and drag. And look, I have a heart, and it actually left the little dots. That's so cool. But remember, it defaults to this gray. So we talked about the bucket. Even when you do your font, if I go up to the bucket and I go to fill color, I could select red, and voila, I have red. Is that cool? Do you love that? Did you know you could put a shape in there? I love it. Word love, but maybe I might want to replace that. Would you mind if I replace that, Ms. Hames?
Not at all. I love your art.
And okay, so I selected her love, and I'm actually gonna delete it for now. And sorry, and remember how we can resize it? Because we have to think about the balance of our presentation that when we're building. So now that I have the heart in here, I could actually write love here.
Oh, you can type right inside of a text?
Yes, isn't that
Or inside
great?
of a shape?
Inside of a shape. And I could also increase the size. I actually selected it, I highlighted it, and I'm going up to the top. It's at 14. I could go all the way to maybe 36, so it pops a little bit. What do y'all think?
I love it.
I love it.
Okay, well, I know I need to really hurry, so I'm going to go ahead and go to insert. I went to the second slide. I'm going to go to insert, and see, you're doing things repetitively, so you'll remember this. So I'm going to go to insert, image, and this time I am going to go to my drive because I have other pictures. And Ms. Hames and Ms. Kilpatrick says dogs make us happy. So I'm going to see, I have some pictures selected down here. Actually, I'm going to type in pets in my Google Drive. And it should, because I have a folder here, and you should see that I now have more pets. I love it. So they do help reduce stress. And of course, some of the things you do, you have to take care of your dog too, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and select another picture and just click and drag it over. And
okay, so she dragged her picture over, and then she's going to show how to adjust the size and add a border and all of those things that she did on the last page too. I think she froze, so we're just going to pick up for her where she was leaving off. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I can't share my screen. So we have a little bit of a technical issue here. We're just going to be patient and hope that Ms. Johnson comes back. Or if we can switch over, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to share mine. And let me just bring back up our presentation. Oop, excuse me. There we go. Okay, so she was just going to bring this in here and show how to adjust the size and how you can, again, add those borders in whichever color you want. You can make it thicker. And you can also go into format options and you can add some shadows too. So you can add a drop shadow and you can kind of make it look like it's actually living there on the page, which is fun. So those are some of your format options that you have for images. So the last thing that we're going to do is show you how you can share this your presentation. So in the beginning, I showed you how we put that in a specific folder, and so people that also had access to that folder can share it. Another thing that you can do is you can go up here to share and click Get Shareable Link. And then you're going to want to hit this drop down right here. Yours, if you're a Cyfair student, is going to be defaulted. It's going to be on anyone at Cypress-Fairbanks with the link can edit, which is probably not what you want. You want just people to be able to view your presentation. So you're going to click this drop down and select anyone with the link. Again, you can pause and rewind and rewatch this. Don't forget, anyone with the link can view. Okay, that way, I'm going to click save. Anyone with this link can view this presentation, and I'm going to click Get Shareable Link, copy the link. And then what we're going to do is show you how you can submit this. Ms. Hames is going to walk us through those steps to submit your Google Slides. And I will do those as you're talking.
Awesome. Okay, so I like how Ms. Gilpatrick has copied that link, so it's there waiting for somewhere to go. So to do that, we're going to go to the Cyfair homepage, CFISD.net. And on that homepage, on the very front, you're going to see something that says At Home Learning or Learning at Home. So you're going to click on that. And then you're going to scroll down on the right side in the black squares where it says Digital Learning Lab, all the way down at the bottom on the right side, and click on that. And then here you'll see at the very bottom, it says Share What You Created. And the very first one says Project Submission Form Elementary. So if you click on that, you are going to be brought to that same exact form that you had last week. And we love seeing some of your Wii videos that you turned in last week. They were amazing. So please consider sharing with us because we love seeing all the things that you've learned. So you put your last name and then you put in if you are currently a Cyfair student or not, and then you click on next. You do have to fill all of that in order to get to the next. Choose your school. And then you're going to choose April 9th, which is today, Google Slides. And then right there, you're going to paste. And remember, you can paste by right-clicking and choosing paste, or you can use the shortcut Control+V. And then once you do that, your link is going to be in there, and you're just going to click on submit, and then it will come to us, and we can't wait to see that. So remember, we kind of went through that a little bit fast, but because this is a video, you can always rewind and go back and re-watch how to do that. Okay, so please consider submitting your work. We can't wait to see how creative you are and what you've come up with.
Absolutely. You can rewind, and you can see here that I'm fast forwarding all through this presentation. So anything that we went fast on, just pause, rewind, and watch that again. So we're so happy that you joined us this week, and we hope that you learned a few extra tips. Some of you, I think, may have already been Google Slides experts, but hopefully you were able to catch on to a few little tips throughout this presentation and some ways to make your slides pop and send your message. So we hope that you'll join us next week, Thursday, April 16th, and we will be talking about how to create infographics. So we look forward to that. We hope that you're all staying safe. And but before we sign off here, if we have just a second, we'll make sure that we don't have any lingering questions.
I do have
and we will answer those in the chat as well.
Yes, yeah, there's one question. We can probably answer it pretty quickly, Ms. Gilpatrick, if you
Sure.
don't mind. She wants to know how to change the text color, and she's going to the bucket. So remember, the bucket is where you change your word art color, but if you need to change regular text color, you're going to click on that, and then up at the very top, you'll highlight what you want to change. You're looking for the A with the line underneath of it. When you find the A with the line underneath, that is your text color. So you would just select that, and then you would put the color that you would like. So Angela, I hope that helps you. Thank you for asking that question. And I think that's good. We will go in and we'll try to answer some of the questions. And thank you so much for your time. I know we kept you a couple minutes over. So thank you for being patient with us. We hope that you've learned a lot. Look forward to seeing you next week when we talk more about infographics.
All right. Wonderful.